Because there is nothing real in this bill to enforce. In short, tomorrow's bill is a bunch of fake news and fake talking points that will do nothing to rein in out of control federal spending.
So Lauren Boebert isn't happy about the debt deal. And I'm in a weird position, of course, because I don't like it either. But for exactly opposite reasons from her, it does limit the spending because that's exactly what it does. I don't know what else to tell you. That's what it does. By the way, I don't like that. That's bad, but it's there. You know, if I am camping and I look into a bush and there's a tiger there, I don't like that either, but it's still a tiger, okay? So I don't know what the fake news thing is. It does limit but the budget. It cuts it for the next 2 years. That sucks. I don't know why she's not happier about that. I don't know why she's not happier considering all of this other BS that's in the deal. So for instance, the agreement includes new measures to get energy projects approved more quickly by creating a lead agency to oversee reviews and ensure that they're completed in 1 to 2 years. You know, budget stuff. Anyway, it specifically says that the Mountain Valley Pipeline, what's his face's favorite project in West Virginia.
Manchin's extension of his manhood.
Oh, I briefly forgot Manchin.
That's so sweet.
That was a good time. Anyway, Joe Manchin's favorite project, that's gonna be approved. Again, budget stuff. In addition, it claws back $30 billion in unspent money from a previous COVID relief bill signed by Mr. Biden. I don't like that. I also don't like that in a time when over 1 million people died, they didn't spend that money when they could have. It puts an end to Mr. Biden's freeze on student loan repayments and restricts his ability to reinstate such a moratorium, even if there's another pandemic or something. It does not, however, take away the student loan forgiveness that they wanted to stop. So I guess that's something.
There we go.
And then of course, one other thing before you jump in. Hey, what do you know? They're getting their work requirements. It now expands work requirements to adults aged 50 to 54 who don't have children living at home. That's gonna require 80 hours of work in a month. That seems extreme.
Yep.
So that you can earn your $281 maximum in SNAP benefits. Work out the hourly on that, by the way, and you'll get an idea of what America thinks of working Americans. But interestingly, I just want to note this one thing. Matt Brunig had a really interesting response to this. He says, the bill would exempt veterans, the homeless, and people who are children in foster care from the food stamp work requirements. Okay, that's interesting. He goes on to point out that the switching up who's eligible and the paperwork and all that is explicitly designed to knock people out who are technically eligible, but won't know that they need to refile or will make some sort of clerical error. They do this on purpose. People will be thrown out without food, even though they deserve it. That's just what the bureaucracy does. But then he points out this, which I think is really interesting, about the argument that Republicans make for these work requirements. He says veterans are a venerated group in our society. That's why they're exempt. But if work requirements are good for the people who are subject to them, as conservative policy intellectuals claim, then they should especially be applied to venerated groups like veterans who we want good things for, right? And I think that's a great point. It's talked about as, no, this is helpful. It gets them out there, it gives them purpose, it gets them more money, it gets them back in there. Well, then why are you leaving the veterans behind? It almost seems like you don't believe the BS that you're spreading.
No, exactly. They know that work requirements are punitive in this case. And that's why they're putting them on there, because they want to kick more people off of SNAP benefits. By the way, in order to qualify for SNAP benefits, you have to be living, I believe, near or below the poverty line. And so if you are then required to go to work, you have to make sure that those 80 hours are not kicking you above the poverty line, which I'm sure is incredibly low, and it could vary from state to state, to even qualify for those extra $281 to eat. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is why we need universal programs across the board, because these particular sort of carve outs for this group and that group, and it's all used to pit people against one another, to obviously demonize these same groups, whether they are, poor people, working people, people who are with disabilities, who I know are also exempt, but it doesn't matter. It is to slam them with paperwork. And lastly, this is a deal that also also cuts out major funding for the IRS so that they can audit billionaires, millionaires really, and people with a lot of money. And this is so funny because we live in a country where you have to do your own paperwork every single year when it comes to your taxes. They could easily do it for you, but no. They deliberately want to strap us with that bureaucratic nightmare in order to then go after working people and middle income people and never go after the rich people. You see how it all works? You see how we talk about, oh yeah, like socialism, there's lines, there's all kinds of paperwork. Oh my God, nothing works. No, man. You've never been poor in America because things don't work for people who are poor here. They're slammed with bureaucracy, they're waiting in lines, and we don't have socialism in this country.
Yeah. People are talking in the chat, by the way, about work requirements for Congress. Like if it was work requirements and raising money doesn't count, then they would be doomed. 80 hours a month. Yeah, right. Anyway, finally, so Biden needs to sell this to the Democrats. McCarthy needs to sell it to the Republicans. Some combination of the two probably will be needed to pass this. And it seems like exactly what the rich want. It doesn't do anything to hurt them. It doesn't raise their taxes. It limits spending. So, hey, maybe less taxes on them in the future. And so why wouldn't they want this? So my assumption would be that this will definitely get the support. They'll figure out exactly what assortment of centrist Dems or whatever, and most of the Republicans will vote for it. But along the way, lots of people will complain who don't particularly care. Boebert will actually love this while pretending not to because she's supposed to be angry or whatever. Nancy Mace says Republicans got outsmarted by a president who can't find his pants. Okay. So there's definitely some Republicans are criticizing it, but they're criticizing it because they think that it should be more punishing. It should do deeper cuts. It should hurt more people. Someone in the chat said, by the way, could you explain SNAP benefits to people outside of the US? And we've done a lot of stories about SNAP benefits, so I'm not gonna go super in depth, but basically it's money for food assistance for the poorest Americans. There's like 34 million Americans or whatever that go hungry on a daily basis. And this provides on average less than like $130 a month to be able to buy some of the bare necessities food wise. That's what is continually being debated, continually being cut. A very small benefit that literally provides milk and cheese for people. That's what's being considered.
No, and not
along the way, they're gonna make some pipelines.
Yeah.
Anyway, final point goes to you.
All to say that SNAP benefits also were expanded thanks to the pandemic. And because of that, people could actually eat 3 square meals a day. But now they have to go back to eating 1 meal a day. That's happening in the richest country on earth, people. 1 meal a day.
Yeah, and to take it back to all of the Memorial Day like odes that they gave, like the sacrifice they made so that someday lots of people like them can go hungry, but the rich will do better. Like, oh God, they're all so fake.
It'll trickle down.
They're all so fake.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.